Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of a LegalWiki. Today I'm delighted and thrilled to have Ms. Somabha Bandopadhay on my channel. Ms. Somabha is currently a doctoral student and a teaching assistant at NUJS Kolkata. She has been a formal visiting research fellow at a School of Criminology, University of Montreal, Canada. She was awarded Indo-Canadian Shastri Mitacs Scholarship to pursue research on victimization of transgender persons during her fellowship. To tell you more about Ms. Somabha, she is a first-generation lawyer and has been a gold medalist twice. She was awarded Nani Palkhivala Memorial Gold Medal for securing the highest in LLM at NLSIU Bangalore, and then Chancellor Gold Medal and Nanibala Devi Memorial Gold Medal for securing highest CGPA in the School of Law at KIIT University. Talking about her achievements, Ms. Somabha has won a prestigious BCI Moot Court competition and has been adjudged as the best speaker and best female advocate. She has more than 40 research publications to her credit, including a few in Scopus Index journals, and the South Asian Journals of Law and Policy, Journal of Bangladesh Institute for Legal Development, and Indian Bar Review by the Bar Council of India. She has also presented over 30 papers at conferences on issues concerning human rights nationally and internationally and won several awards. That's not enough about Ms. Somabha. She has actually maintained 16 pages of CV, and here I am just briefing about her. So moving on, she also holds various professional positions, including being the founder of Unmute.health, which is a legal and practice guide for people involved with performing artists, governance facilitator, Youth Hub of Global Alliance for the Rights of Nature, member of World Youth for Climate Justice, erstwhile student member of American Society for International Law and member of Indian Society of Victimology, among others. She has also been regularly invited as a panelist for state capacity building on transgenders' rights by Human Rights Law Network and for lectures on various topics concerning human rights, and as a judge for various moot courts. Recently, she judged Nepal's national rounds for Phillips Jessup Moot Court competition, and previously she judged India's and US national rounds for the same. Apart from her law career, she is also a classical Manipuri dance artist, and she has been awarded Government of India scholarship twice. Today, Ms. Somabha has joined us to share her experience about her successful journey of being a researcher, an academician, and inspire us about how an undergraduate from a private university can make a significant impact on their law career. A very warm welcome to you, Ms. Somabha. It is my pleasure to have you on my channel, and as I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much. This is such an elaborate, humble introduction of mine. Thank you so much, Devi. It really means so much to me. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. So before we begin, I would really like to thank you for accepting my invitation and taking time out from your busy schedule. I hope this conversation would be fruitful to all the young lawyers, aspirants, and others who have self-doubt about themselves and those who want to enter into the fields of academics. So I have divided this session into two parts. Okay. So firstly, would be talking about your academic career and how someone who's interested in this field can take steps ahead. And moving on, secondly, we would like to discuss your college life experience and how it will be helping young lawyers to excel in their college life. So with this, let's begin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Sure. So my very first question to you. So there are many options available in this law field. Why did you choose to enter into academics, and was it always your plan?
Well, yes, I come from a family of academicians. So for me, the fact that something else exists was never really the thing for me. I have always seen my parents going to the university, guiding research scholars, publishing papers, presenting in conferences, lecture demonstrations, because both my parents are into performing arts. So, all of that has been what I have grown up with. So for me, that was the pathway that I would have followed. So I had planned this, for a very, very long time. That is how it was. Now, initially as a child, it was, I was still figuring out what subjects to do and what to do. But the fact that I'm going to be teaching, the fact that I'm going to be studying and researching, that was there. But on what subject I would do, that I think came around class 8, I would say. So I would be into teaching is something that I think I had already decided for myself when I was in class 2 or something. I would enact like a teacher. I would use the boards and all of it to teach the furnitures and all of that in my house. So yes, teaching was always the thing that I wanted to do.
Nice. That's really amazing to know. And thanks for sharing this with us. Okay, so moving on to our next question. Can you tell us a bit about your current work and role?
Okay, so I am presently working as the teaching assistant at the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences. So as a part of what I do is to teach, and I teach both compulsory papers as well as elective papers. And apart from that, I am also a PhD scholar at NUJS. So I have just submitted my PhD final thesis and I'm waiting for the experts' comments and all of that. So my work is basically for teaching and research, as well as, of course, as university administrative work. That is a part of what every teaching faculty has to do. So that is what I do. But before that, I was the university junior research fellow. So at that point of time also, I was teaching, but my focus was also on my research. So the difference from that time as university junior research fellow to teaching assistant is that right now I am mostly and entirely into teaching, and research also I am, but it's kind of a transition. So that is what I am presently doing at NUJS.
That's
Yes.
nice. So apart from being a teacher, what are the other positions in this particular field of law?
If you say that what would be the journey like, if that is what you're asking, so then it is only after you have cleared your net or you have done your PhD, which are the either of the two essential criterias to be enrolled as an assistant professor at any law university. After that, you are, after a couple of years and some publications and some other details are, ingredients are there, then you become an associate professor of law.
Okay.
And after that is a professor of law, and that is the highest degree in that ladder, of course. But then what happens is, if you are pursuing, let's say, a DLIT, then that is another academic feather that you have on your cap. So these are the academic qualifications that you really get. So it is about 10-12 years it takes to, or a little more I would say, to reach that phase. Yes. And apart from that, I must also say that this is not much there in, I would say, in India, but abroad, the other option or the other parallel uh, scheme that you see is where you see that there are assistant professors or professors who are into research. So in India, they both happen together, but in various foreign universities, you do see that professors who might not be teaching regularly, like having a timetable and teaching, but then they are into research as well. So that is another scheme also which is available, but in India that is very, very limited.
Okay. Thank you so much for letting us know and giving us such a detailed answer. So moving on, right now you're pursuing PhD, right? So what is your topic of research and what motivated you to select this topic?
Okay, so this is actually kind of would take me several years, almost a decade or more than that back, actually. So
Okay.
my work is on transgender rights. Okay, I'm working on victimization of transgender persons and the violence that they face. So this goes back to, I would say, my school days when I was in class 11. When a faculty of ours, a teacher at school, he introduced us in our sociology classes to a particular book which was on the hijras, the eunuch community in India. All these terminologies were just terms, and I couldn't really fathom anything. But I wondered as to, what is it and why is it so different, all of those would come to my mind. And there were these stereotypical notions. I think everyone, the Indian society, not just India but elsewhere also, there is the set mind, as Professor Ramesh would say, set mind. So there is set mind about the community. So even I have heard those and I have grown up. So I started wondering, what is, or how is it different, why are they different, what is it? So that's how my interest, I would say, began to know about the community. At that point of time, it was only through sociology books and all of that I could attempt. And I did discuss it with my teacher at back then, and he told me the best that he could. But then that was just the beginning, I felt. So after that, when I had gone into graduation and at KIIT, I was preparing to participate for an international criminal law moot court competition. Unfortunately, we couldn't go for it because of attendance shortages of one of our teammates. But my research and my passion for what I am doing now, it really got triggered at that during that phase of couple of months of research that we did. And in that research, it was basically on some on the transgender persons and on the transgender community and international criminal law and all of that. So that's when I think I had started learning about them entirely, and that stayed on. So it was in my, I think in my third or fourth year that I was preparing for that moot court competition. This was before BCI actually. So that stayed on. So I went on to publish a paper also on that later on. And when I was asked to for my LLM dissertation, what do you want to do? I think I had that zeal in me to do this research. Now, the reason being, as a human rights law student, I had realized that I was also very much working and speaking for the women, rights of the women, the children, elderly, also maybe differently abled, all of that. But in this process, somehow we were missing this community. We were not talking about their rights. And I had felt this since that class 11, when I was introduced to the subject, and I saw that the research materials or literature, I would say, not research materials, literature with regard to transgender rights is so less. And especially when it comes to legal research, there is almost close to nothing. So it was a challenge for me to take it up. I would say I uh, began with just one or two drops of water from that ocean in 2018-19 when I did my LLM. But after that, I really refine it and bring it from international context, domestic context, to I did an empirical research. So I really wanted to know more about the community. I really wanted to know why is it that we do not talk about their human rights, and which is why my endeavor since then has been to ensure that whenever I teach human rights laws, I bring that notion also into it. So we have progressed much more now than when I started doing the work, I would say. But yes, that's the story behind it. And
It's a
also,
really
okay, one
yeah,
more
yeah,
thing
yeah.
important. Yes, of course. How can I forget this? So my association with the community began as a child, actually.
Okay.
The fact that these terminologies came to me in class 11, but the fact that I always thought that why is it that they are different? They are very much like us, but why does the society perceive them to be different? This began because I'm a performing artist, as you have also introduced me as
Yes.
one. So the performing arts community is a space which is very inclusive. And many of them who do not confine to the gender binaries and the ones who identify as transgender persons, they, I feel they get the performing arts space as a creative space to really explore themselves and to come out flying colors. So because my parents have been in this industry, I have been very close to several of these individuals, artists who do not confine themselves within the gender binary, and they are the ones who many of them either they have gone open about it or they have not gone open about their gender identity. So for me it was not, they were not different. And that's why when in 11 12 I was introduced to those terminologies, I felt, why are we thinking that they are different? Why are they different than us? That's how my interest began, and then, as I told you, my journey. So yes, it goes back to my childhood days.
I can never imagine someone can think that deep during their childhood, during their school days, and now you're actually focusing on that particular topic. And for someone else, right, you're thinking so much. That's really nice of you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so as I was going through your CV, I can see that you're a multitasker. And as a multitasker, how do you manage to handle multiple roles at the same time. And do you really think that law students should also develop this skill?
Well, see, I think this in the kind of phase that we are in the era that we are in. So this actually reminds me of a debate competition we participated in, which said that do you want to be jack of all trades or
Huh.
master of none? That very famous phrase, So from there, in this era, it is very essential that we do multitasking. See,
Yes.
today when you are, let's say, when we are doing a Zoom meeting, let's say, okay, so we are listening, we are on the camera, people can see us, I'm listening, I'm constantly chatting also with someone, maybe trying to communicate something, even if it's if a formal or informal communication. I am maybe taking notes, so I am multitasking. So what do you really define as multitasking is also very important. But it's very important that as law students we do know, let's say, drafting, we know note taking, we know arguing, we know that how to brief senior counsel. So this is what, let's say, I'm saying from the point of view of a practitioner. Now, coming to, let's say, to academia, I have to know how to research. I have to know, I have to go to the class, take the class, come back, give the attendance, fulfill all the formalities of the university. So I have to constantly multitask. Otherwise, I will not be able to fulfill all the duties that are bestowed on me. Now, along with that, let's say one would have your one's personal life. You need to be multitasking in that also. So,
Right.
I look at it as a very holistic thing, because as a law student or as a student of any subject, I would say, you need to know the nuances of everything. Today, I cannot say that I just know how to draft. I have to know how to teach. Or maybe, today when I go to class, I can't say that, well, I can't tell you about how the courtroom works. So
Correct.
I have to also go back, do that research as well, maybe do drafting and pleading a little bit so that I can explain it to them. I need to know how policy formulation is done so that I can explain and I can ask them to make a project on it. So multitasking is very, very important. Yes, now I do a lot of things. That's because things are there's one which is my passion, there's something which I am specializing in, there's something which is where I mean I am professionally involved. So it is because of that, maybe you would feel it's overwhelming. But yes, what is important is how you strategize it. You have to
Exactly.
plan everything. Unless and until you plan everything, and you have to dedicate time for it. At times it becomes extremely tasking, at times it becomes I would say frustrating also, at times it is too much on your plate. But I look at it as something where it's a challenge, and the moment I cross that, I feel I have achieved something, and I feel that yes, I could do it. So the moment you are over that, then I feel I'm very empowered. Now, even if there are greater challenges coming to me, I will be fine. And I think this comes personally for me, it comes from the fact that I've always been a performing artist. So, since my school days, I have always been into academics and performing arts, academics and performing arts. So these two have always gone very parallelly for me. And I have been really blessed, I would say, to have a family who has supported this, to have a support system at my undergraduate level also. My director was so supportive. So, it just went on, and I'm really lucky that I could keep doing it. Not, I would say, not everyone has this privilege, and I'm really honored and blessed to have that privilege. And then, of course, everything is God's blessing. That's how I look at it, that I am still being able to do the multitasking. And it takes a toll, I would say, honestly, at times, on your
Correct.
health, on your mental health, and all of it. But as I said, once you are there, once you have crossed the bridge, it's so much better.
Correct. So one of the difficult part of this is time management. And for that, obviously, you have to strategize everything. Otherwise, it would be difficult and you won't be able to multitask things. And yes,
Yes.
right, you have managed it so well. And because I was going through your CV, I was really amazed, like how someone can do so many things at the same time. How she used to like manage everything at the same time. What about the time management? What about the personal life?
Well, so see, time management, I would say, you need to prioritize. So if there are 5 things that you have to do, you really need to prioritize. And at times, what do you prioritize? You have, let's say, a submission which is by the weekend, and by the weekend you have a rehearsal also. For me, it's like that. You have a rehearsal also. So what do? Then the obvious thing is you work extra. And I think and so you have to be mentally prepared for that,
Correct.
I will be working extra, I will have less hours of sleep, I will get to watch less number of movies. So these are the things that you really need to come to terms with. But that doesn't mean that I compromise on my family life or family time, my time with my friends, because that is important for my sanity, for me to get the energy to go on. But that also has to be really strategized. And it is a very, very individualized strategy, I would say. What and how I follow is entirely my way of looking at it. For somebody it will be very different. But what I can tell you is that you need to list it down. Then you tally it with by what time frame do you have to really submit, or you have to give it, or let's submit or have to attend to it. And then you do another listing. After that, then you filter out how many can you do in, let's say, a week, or let's say a day. So you really have to filter it out. So
It's
you
all
have to have
about
multiple.
planning. Yes.
Yes, to-do lists have to be there, and
To-do
you
list.
keep ticking the to-do list, which will be never ending.
Correct. Okay. So moving on, as you have studied from KIIT University, and it's a private university, and mostly everyone has a mindset that when you are from a private university, it's a very challenging task to enter into a law career and have a successful life, right? So did you face any challenges as such? And do you think that if you would have been from National Law University, you would be doing something different?
Well, as I told you that I always wanted to go into teaching.
Correct.
So that wouldn't have changed at all. So, the last part of the question is the easiest to answer. That irrespective of where I would have been, in fact, whichever subject I would have taken, I would have been into teaching. Now, I would have been an extremely pathetic teacher had I taken up physics, which I wouldn't have taken up at the first place. So, for me, teaching, as I said, was the thing I always wanted to do. Now, coming to this very important question is to, coming from a private university. Well, I also had the same feeling when I got through, and when I was going to uh, KIT. I of course had this, you know, uh, I, I I would not say regret, but I was a little skeptical as to what is coming my way. And at that point of time, we didn't have so many national law schools. I was still getting good national law schools, I would say, but my target was the first three. So since it was not those, I chose, and my parents, of course, played a very, very important role here. They, being in academia, they always have guided me through my academic career. That goes without saying. So my dad always says that, no matter where you are, if you are dedicated to what you are studying, if you're honest about it, if you can score well, if you can read and study and present well, no one can stop you. So, which is why my mom said that, even if it is a private university, you will have the same resources. In fact, honestly, I would say many times much more resources than possibly some other law school would have at that point of time, I mean to say, would have been able to provide. Because private university has that advantage that the resources are so many. And KIT has never compromised with regard to providing of materials, best of books, world-class journal subscriptions. We would have everything. There were journals which we referred to, which I still don't find in several law libraries. I'm not talking about NLSIU, NALSA, or GNLU or NUJS. No, but several law universities, traditional law universities also would not have those journals which we have referred to. We would have the entire Halsbury collection and all of that. So it was nowhere less. What was less, I would say, would be, let's say, the alumni strength. Alumni plays an important role. That was lacking. Now next, which was lacking to some extent, I would say, would be, a lot of experienced faculties or maybe experts, but again, here I would say that my director at that point of time at KIT Professor N.K. Chakraborty, he was someone who would ensure that we would have the best lectures possible. We would have Supreme Court judges, ICJ judges coming and speaking to us. Professor Madhav Menon came so many times. So at that point of time, it was, if you are there, if you are aware, if your senses are there, and if you are receptive enough, if you want to do, KIIT had that. KIIT had that. And I'm very proud of the fact that, I was there. I have a friend circle that I could possibly forge because I was there. I have learned so many things from so many different people because I was there. I was away from home, yet I was very near home, close to home. I could keep on doing my cultural pursuits. And at the same time, I could go and win BCI competition. I could do international law honors, which is what I wanted to do. So, you have to look at every problem as an opportunity.
Correct.
And, you have to have that confidence that I can do it, because it is entirely about your merit and your qualifications that you do for yourself. It is not at all based on which university you're from. It is very much on the hard work that you do, the honest work that you put in. If you study, you would know the same Keshavan and the National Law School student would do. It would not be any different.
Right.
The difference would be, let's say, how you interpret it. So that's where, yes, you might be getting the interpretation from, let's say, Professor Mallar at NLSIU Bangalore. But here, maybe you have to listen to his lectures on YouTube, then do your research like that. So yes, extra efforts have to be given. But the advantage, which I think I have tried to capitalize on, is the fact that my hard work is something that will beat everybody. That was my zeal, because I wanted to be there. I don't know where I am, but at least I tried to be. I try always to do the best of whatever I have. So, it is like that. And it was difficult in some sense, but as I said, KIT had made it very, very, very nice for us. And it was the friends group that we created. We studied together. So it was this ambience you create for yourself. If you want to do, if you want to study, no one can stop you. Just do it, and you can excel.
And also, while you're talking about the alumni based, I think during our time, LinkedIn and everything was not there. We were not able to connect through social media much. But right now, I think the resources are available free online, and even on LinkedIn, you can connect with your alumni, with your even everyone, not only with your seniors, but even from the other seniors, other professors, or whether it be anyone law firm from partners and everyone. They are so available there, and all the informations are free flowing, YouTube or other sources. So now I think it depends upon you how much you are utilizing all the free resources, and actually depends upon you right now.
Absolutely. So I'll just give you an example here. There was a team from one of the private universities, and I will not name, who had approached me to be their coach for JESUP a couple of years back, not a couple of years back. And it was a private university. They went up to the international rounds, and they did very, very well. So, it is really about you. It is really about you. If you feel you want to do it, you can do it, you will. If you don't want to do, even if you are at a national law school, you will still not be able to do it because you don't want to do it.
Correct.
It's your zeal that really drives you. It is your zeal.
Correct. I hope seriously this will help out all the students who actually belong from the private universities. Okay, so this brings us to our next question. As you are an author of over 30 research papers published in various renowned law journals, could you briefly discuss how to write and publish a research paper, select the right topics, and acquire the necessary skills to write effectively?
Okay, so this is actually a lot of questions, and usually when I take these sessions, I say it is like full 1 hour session. Let's say, so I have to summarize it in a couple of sentences.
Brief way, yeah.
Yes. So, first of all, I will start with choosing the topic. Okay. So choosing the topic, you could do a couple of things. One is you go with a contemporary topic, which is, let's say, something being debated at present or something like that. Either you do that, or you are researching on something. Let's say, for example, Article 21 and some new interpretations of Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which you are working on. So, it will be contemporary, but at the same time, basing upon the prior research and prior materials which are there. Now, the third is where, you simply expand on the jurisprudence or expand on something which is already existing. So now you have to choose what do you want to do. So let's say contemporary would be where you have to be really thorough with what is happening and you have to write quickly, get it published like that. It has to be very, very fast.
Correct.
Otherwise, the importance of the topic would be gone in a couple of days' time. So if it is gone in a couple of days' time, then you realize that, the exercise is in futility. So that is one. Second is, as I said, if you are building on something with contemporary example, then you have some time to really go back and do the research and come back. Then, it could be a more nuanced article, somewhere you're going in depth and you are working. The third is where you're building on something which is already there and you're simply expanding, which is what a lot of research articles are about. Then you have a lot of time to work on it. You can take about a year's time to get it published in a good journal and all of that. And that is where, let's say, you can also have book reviews. You can have, yes, you can have book reviews there. You can have case commentaries. Yes, you can have case commentaries there and all of that. So how you choose is really depending on what you want to work on. If you want to comment on something which is contemporaneously happening, then it's the first choice. So it is really on what you want to do. Okay, so now let's see if you want to work on something, let's say on AI and crimes. Okay, AI and criminal liability. It is a contemporary topic.
Correct,
but it is not something where you have to do it fast and get it published. No, it is not the first criteria. It is the second type, as I'm saying. Because you can really, let's say, look at a couple of case laws, then do some comparative analysis between India and elsewhere. And then, like that, you can take some time. You can take some time to do that. So that is that, as I said, the second category. So now when you choose the topic, I always suggest this, that choose the topic which interests you. If it does not interest you, no matter how much you research, it will never be a good publication. This is my personal opinion. Now, what interests you need not be your specialization. Because your specialization could be, let's say, for example, for me, my specialization is human rights laws and international law. But my interest lies also in rights of nature, which is what I teach, which is what I was introduced to at NLSIU Bangalore. So I have written on rights of nature, but that is not my specialization as per, let's say, a degree and all of it. But I am interested, so I wrote on it. So you have to really choose the topic which interests you. You have to choose to write on the topic in which you have expertise and specialization. Now, the alternative would be, you do not know, but it seems quite lucrative for you to research. So you pick it up, then whatever challenges would come, even if, let's say, it is investment law and you do not know anything about investment law, you will make the efforts of studying and reading it, and then you will reproduce it. So you have to choose the topic, as I said, in that manner. Then choose it as per your interest, or things where, choose those things which you know you will be able to continue for a long period of time. Now, it could mean that you would have 10,000 things to write on. Absolutely fine. It could mean you just have 2 specializations and you want to work only on those. That is also fine. But do a quality research, and that's very, very important. And in order to do quality research, I feel one really needs to know how to do research. Because, research and the kind of research that we do now has really changed. So today, if you're simply writing on something, it will not make sense. You have to contribute it in at least a little bit manner. You don't have to give a theory, or anything as mega as that, but you have to contribute your own perception, your own ideas. For that, you need to go through the methodology of research. You need to know how to have the hypothesis framed from the statement of problem. What would be the research questions? What are the research objectives? How do I do the research? Should I do it as a doctrinal one or empirical one? If empirical, then how do I do it? Can interviews be fine, or do I need to do some case study, or am I doing a case method? What am I doing? Because then you come out with something which will be of value, which is what people will be referring to at a later point of time. Otherwise, you end up wasting time, I feel. You otherwise end up wasting your time, and every individual has the capacity to do really well, good research. It is only about how you channelize your energy, your interest, and your expertise and knowledge of the law, and apply it to whatever you are writing on, and come up with a product. So that is the strategy that you need to follow. And please do not think that, I have to publish so many papers, otherwise I will not, let's say, get a job or this and that. That is not the case. That is so not the case. If you do publish good research papers in good research journals, that is it. Your quality really matters, not quantity. That is what I believe in, that quality really matters than quantity. Quantity will come slowly and steadily. When you get into it, it will really come. So yes. And also one last thing I would say, that writing is important. Where you write is, I mean, that is important when it comes to journal. But what I mean is, let's say if you are expressing your opinion on a magazine, that is also good. On a newspaper article, that is also good. If it is a journal, that is also good. If it is a blog, that is also good. One should start, because I know that the audience to whom I'm talking to, they are young aspirants, So write. To them I say, write. Then you will figure out later whether Scopus Index Journal or Web of Science Journal. Start writing. Start writing. Get that energy in you to write. It is a difficult task to research, sit and write. It's a difficult task. But once you master it, then you will see that you will slowly and steadily, you will know where to write, what to write, how much to write. So get that habit in.
So if someone is naive and don't know about the research skill, how they can develop it?
As I said, this is something that I have felt after learning research methodology myself, teaching research methodology at some places and all of that, you really have to know how to research. Because that's what I said. Again, I am kind of re-emphasizing my point here, that unless and until you know how you can do research, you will not know why you are reading an article or a book. What is literature review? How do you really filter out which literature you will use and which you will not? You will know that only when you've done research methodology. So irrespective of whether it is taught in law school or not, okay, you should definitely watch videos, read a little bit about research methodology, legal research methodology, and then try and implement those. Okay, because see, in a law school curriculum, it is not possible to teach everything that one needs to acquire, as skills. So it is not possible. It is because of the time paucity, semester commitments, and all of that. So one has to make efforts on one's own self also. Self-motivated learning is very important. So in order to know how to research, you have to read those. And then you consult your faculties, then you read a lot of articles, see what article is the pattern of which author is really appealing to you. Why so? Read several kinds of authors, foreign authors, Indian authors. Then you see which journal you are planning to attempt. What are the formalities of that journal? Does the journal publish long articles, empirical based articles, or is it case study method articles, or maybe case based articles, or is it simply doctrinal articles? What or statistical, data is important for that journal. So this is again one more thing, that when you're targeting to publish in a journal, you also need to know what the journal wants you to publish, what the journal wants to publish. So there again, there's one more interesting thing I must share here, is that for journals there are general issues as well as special issues. So you need to possibly also see whether you want to submit in the special issue or in the general issue. If you are submitting in the general issue, then there would be a lot of articles from where one article or two articles would be chosen. If you're submitting the special issue, the number of articles would be less. So these you develop while you are in that process. So, research is a process. Today, as a first year law student, you will not be able, you cannot expect, I mean, it can happen, not that it might not, but you cannot expect to have 30 articles or 20 articles in best of the journals. It's not possible. You slowly develop it, and it is fine to go slow. Excuse me, it is very fine to go slow, but go in a very, very qualitative manner. And one very, very cardinal principle I always share with my students and to whoever I speak about research: please be honest to your research. Please be honest with your research. Do not plagiarize, copy paste. Do not. Then don't do it. because you are doing it when the moment you copy from someone, you are undermining that person's credibility, you're undermining your credibility also. Because as I said, everyone has the equal abilities and acumen to do research. So why will you not? If you don't want to do, then do not do it, because no one is forcing you to. But if you want to, then be very honest with what you do, because honesty is the only thing I feel that really takes you forward. This is not a philosophy, but not a philosophical saying or anything like that. But this is something that I follow, and only I feel everyone should be really honest with the research. Today, let's say I have put in so much of hard work. I put out my research out there. Someone copies it without giving me credit. It is undermining my hard work, isn't it? So why
Right.
would you do that? You would do the hard work, and then you would see others getting inspired from your research, and that will be fantastic.
So what's your view on paid journals? A lot of students go for paid journals. So are these paid journals recognized?
Okay, so this is a very, very controversial topic, I must say. Okay, so earlier it was that, if you can publish in any peer review journal, it would be good enough. Now, things didn't go well, things were not good, all these, scrupulous journals came up, all those things happened. Then the next one was that, if it is paid, then it's not good. If it is unpaid, then it is good. That was another trend. Then the
Yeah.
next trend was, Scopus journals. Now the new trend has been that Scopus journals charge a lot of money. There are some Scopus journals which are charging money. They are accepting the paper. By the time they're publishing it, they're getting delisted. So all of these things are really going on. It's very difficult, I would say honestly, as a student of, let's say, first year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, even LLM or even beyond that, to
Mhm.
honestly to really understand which journal is about to be delisted by, let's say, Scopus. It's very difficult for you to understand. What best you can do is you attempt to publish in those journals which have had a good record, let's say for about 3 years or so, or 4 5 years. Then the chances of that those journals getting delisted would be less. Okay, but you never know. I mean, Scopus actually comes up with lots of guidelines, lots of things, which is why all these things are happening. But I would not outrightly say that all paid journals are bad, because there are a lot of Scopus journals which do charge for publication or processing fees, but they are good journals. So then you have to really know what journal it is that you're publishing. So you would see a lot of journals which make no sense. They say that they're going to publish your article irrespective of which area of law or which subject matter or topic it is, and they are asking you to pay and then get it, and that they will publish it. It will be a Scopus journal. So go back and see whether it's a Scopus journal or not. Do not be beautiful. You have a Scopus website, so check on Scopus. Scopus comes up with their Excel sheet with endless number of journals. Search whether that journal is there or not. So do not, just by the virtue of the journal authorities or journal bodies saying that we are Scopus index journals, you go pay and publish it. Don't do that. See whether it is going to be of any value or not. And the next criteria is, what is the site score? Whether it is, how many citations have it got. All of those are criteria that you also check. So that's why paid journals and the local paid journals and all of it, just to increase your publications, are of no value, because they do not go through peer review. So I would say one thing is, check whether that paid journal also has a peer review body or not. If it has, then it is still a little better. Then
Hmm.
you see whether it is UGC care or not. There are a lot of journals which might not be UGC care, but they are good journals, reputed journals. A lot of national law university journals are not yet UGC care journals, but they are good journals. So that's fine, but they don't charge, of course. But what I mean is that not all non-UGC journals are bad. So there could be journals which are asking you to pay, but they're good journals. They are going on for a long period of time, but you have to pay for the publication of the processing fees. It is okay. But the journals which charge a lot of money, hefty money, which makes no sense, is of no value. But yes, I must also end this question by saying that very best of the Scopus journals do not charge a lot of money. Not at all. So they don't charge you money, but at the same time, there are journals which charge some money for that. Let's say for couriering of the hard copy of the journal
Yes, correct.
or
Huh.
the certificate, all of it. So you have to really be very vigilant and aware as to, should I pay for this journal or not? And for that, as I gave you the tips, go back and check the UGC website, careless website, check the scopus, check how many other, who are the authors who have published in those journals. Are they good authors? Where are they from? What is their affiliation? What is the designation? All these really matter. So it would be incorrect to outrightly reject it, but at the same time, I would say one should definitely opt for journals which value your quality and not the money. That is also very, very true.
Thank you so much for giving such an articulated and detailed answer. I hope this
it
was
helps.
really helpful. Yes, sir. So this concludes our first part of the discussion. Now coming to the second part of our discussion. So my first question is, what is your opinion on the Indian legal education system?
Oh my God. Well, I think I am too young, and I would say I don't think I would say that I am at that stage at least now, or I don't know whether I will ever reach that stage where I will be able to comment on the Indian legal education system. But as a student once, and now as a research scholar and as the teaching faculty, what I would say is that, you know, this is something that I have felt while I was doing my research and my experiences everywhere, that we have to possibly focus on how we make Indian legal education make sense. Because, and why do I use the word sense, is because I take this from Professor Madhav Menon, who would say that when you're doing law, when you're becoming a lawyer, you have to give it back. You are doing law for the society. Now, this is not coming from my human rights law background and my EQ being high, all of that. No. What I mean is, even if you are a corporate lawyer, even if you are into, corporate law, trade law, whatever law, you have to have connect with the practical scenario. Even as a student, you cannot suddenly expect that you are done with your graduation, you have gotten the job, tomorrow you're going to a law firm, sitting there, and suddenly you will understand, let's say, Competition Act from the field. It is not possible. So we really need to know the link. As a student, we should be eager to see that how is this bridge happening. And as faculties, I feel we should definitely encourage our students to do this, because earlier how law was seen is very different from how law is now. So we have to really have that incorporated into the syllabus, into the curriculum, from the BCI guidelines. Also, BCI has actually a couple of those clinic papers which deal with this, but I think more has to come from the different guidelines that we receive. Otherwise, the reality and the books are actually becoming really wide day by day.
So basically, you're talking about that there should be introduction of more of practical experience than more of a theory experience. And yeah, BCI is actually trying to do through his internship only what we are doing right now, right? So, but yeah, you're so correct that introducing a practical experience is more important, because just reading books, bare acts will not help you out until and unless you don't understand where we are gonna use all these principles or whatever we are learning in our colleges, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yes. So moving on, you being a gold medalist twice, what are the essential things you think that law students should equip themselves to excel in academics? And also, what was your approach during your college life?
Well, I think the simplest answer would be to say that study, 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 and study. Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work. And then, of course, a lot of other things come in. Your luck comes in. Your other ancillary factors do actually come in. How that day goes when you're appearing for the paper or for the viva. All those things matter. But as I said, again, going back to what I was saying in my previous talk, that hard work, there is no replacement for hard work. And that is one thing that I feel, if you can do with honesty, again going back to the same thing that I was saying, that will take you through. You have to only be honest with your studies, Be diligent with your classes, be diligent with your extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, do everything that you want to do. And this is something that I will say, that give yourself the maximum pain that's possible in law school. Pain in the sense of, I mean, how should I say this? Let's say challenging yourself every day, challenging yourself to reading more case laws, all of it. Give yourself that push, that push in those 5 years of law school. And then you will see, you will get that habit forever. So I think I tried to just do that. I always would want to keep studying, keep reading, keep doing, and doing new things, looking at it in a creative way. So I think that was something that I really tried to do, and I try doing it always. Even when I take classes, I always think, how can I be more creative?
Right.
So that, yes. But hard work cannot be replaced. Read the laws very well, case laws very well, statutes, whatever statute you are reading, read those very, very well. The concepts should be really clear, so that when you go out, you might not remember the exact provision number, but you will remember the
Concept, yes.
concepts.
Wonderful. So can you list out 3 activities that law students should prioritize during their school? At least 3
One,
activities.
okay,
Yes.
one is to read voraciously. Read voraciously. Second is arguing and critical thinking. Argue with yourself, argue with your friends, argue with your faculties. I mean, when I say argue with the faculties, does not mean, it has to be, I mean, it has to be some constructive argumentation.
Yes, obviously.
So I would say voracious reading, critical thinking and argumentation. And the third, I think, would be to write and to present it. To write and present, because it is really about that. So, courtroom is all about how you present, how if you're into litigation. Similarly, in class also, how you present, how you convince your students with what you're saying. So even in law firms, how you convince your associates, or in companies, how do you really go and deal with the other company, let's say, or so it is really about the presentation of whatever you're learning, you're immersing yourself into, and all of that. So it is very important that you read very, very well, and you argue, you critically think, and finally you reproduce well. And since you told me 3, so I am telling you 3, but I will tell you the 4th one, which is, aside from law, and this should be for all students. This I borrow from a recent talk by Justice Showman Shen at one of the mooted competitions here. He said that, and he has been an avid mooter and all of that also, So he said that as a law student, you should not just be into law. You should do something else also. You should, let's say, be either a good football player, or a dancer, or a guitarist, or a singer, or something. Because, law is, and this is something now I am telling about my personal experience. Law is a subject which is very, very tasking, and you're constantly into it. It is really, at times, it really gets onto you, if I may use that word. How do you really go out of it and again come back? You need to have that little escape route and come back. So your escape route should be in a fruitful manner. Let's say stitching, let's say, making something with paper mache, maybe, learning a new skill, maybe even cooking, things which will take you out for a moment and then you come back.
Amazing.
Which is why you need to have these co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities. You need to have, and which is why national law schools and other traditional law schools, private law schools, they organize various competitions. It was just not for the quote unquote fun part of it, but to ingrain in the students that this life is also important. So the best of lawyers are also, let's say, best of those who appreciate music or art or films and all of that. So you need to be a holistic person. So that is very, very important.
Nice. So you have also been associated with different committees, right? How it will help someone in building some personalities and shaping their law career, being associated with law committees or different kinds of committees, whatever there in your colleges.
So you talk about committees in colleges, right?
Yes.
At law school. Yes. So the first obvious thing, which is why students go for it, is because you can network well. You get to know a lot of people. You can establish contacts. That is number one for sure. But I think the other thing that which is very important is, you build it's a kind of a team building exercise. You get to know that you start working with people, the different personalities you're working with, so your skills also increase, as to uh, working with the different kinds of people, working with people coming from different backgrounds, all of that. So if you're a part of a committee, you would have this sense of community. You would be able to do team building. You would be able to, let's say, uh, give challenging tasks for yourself, get challenging tasks for yourself, and cross the bridge. So that is very, very important. So, and also, as I said, organizational skill is something that you can only learn at law school, which is going to be there with you forever. So it is very important that you do become part of several committees. And of course, the greatest incentive is that you get to meet, let's say, uh, high profile, experts of the law field, judges, advocates, solicitors, all of these, important people, or maybe some law firms, some glittering,
Right.
all those law firms that you really are aspiring to get a job into. So yes, that's the incentive, but these other factors are also very, very important.
So now coming to my last few sets of the questions. So out of all your achievements in life, can you share one failure that redefined who you are today, and that thing you would not like others to repeat?
Well, I would say that I have been very blessed that I have, and I say this with extreme humility, that I have always got opportunities that have come my way. And I think, as I said earlier, also, I feel I'm really, really privileged to say this. Not everyone can say this. And all my problems have always turned into opportunities. But one thing that I always suggest that you should never do this, and this is something that at NLS I faced. That is just not. I mean, I was just at NLS when I faced it, but it was happening possibly for a long period of time. That is, I was compromising on my health because of my studies, my education, my career, all of it. And that began, I would say, when I was in my third year, and it went on to third year, to fourth year, fifth year, and then finally at NLS when I was doing my LLM. And that's where the breakdown happened. So, that is something I always now tell my students, that, take care of your health. Everything stems from that. So I would say, failed in taking care of my health massively, massively. I would sleep for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, at times maybe just 1 hour and a half hours, then run for the class, come back. I would do all of that, but that was very bad. It was toil. It took a toll on myself, and I do not uh, shudder from that, taking responsibility of that. That destroyed me. That had impact on my family, and that is something which I would say that you should never do. You, either as a law student or when you're into the profession, whichever field that you go to, you should never ever compromise on your health. You should know where to really stop. Now, when my friends would possibly, or people who know me would listen to this, would say that, really, do you do that? Well, now I really try to do that. At that point of time, I would simply not do it. I would not compromise. But I know that I have to sleep for 8 hours. I have to sleep for 8 hours at any cost. So, I failed so badly that before my exams, I was hospitalized. I came directly from the hospital bed to write for my exams, and that also I was not in a position to write, but I had to write because I had taken it up as a challenge that I will write. So, I failed in that. I failed in that. Or in taking care of myself, balancing all of it, I failed in that. But post that, I have made it as a rule for myself that I will take care of my health. So I will not, I will definitely sleep for 8 hours. I will definitely have my meal, maybe a little late in the day, but I will still have my meals.
Are you
You know,
doing it right now?
yes, I do that.
Amazing.
Sleeping for sure I do. That is what my doctor had told me when I came back from NLS, that you haven't slept for almost 5, 6 years. I was shocked to know that. So that's when he said, do whatever you want to, but sleep for 8 hours. That's very important. So, so students never commit this mistake of taking your health for granted. Your mood court competitions will be there, all of those will be there. Your internal exams, your career, your day zero, all of that, but your health is important. If your health is not fine, what will you do with an amazing career, with all the money,
Absolutely.
all the glory, all the aura, all the credentials? You will be lying on the bed, not being able to enjoy anything. I realized that later.
So even before Rakesh Jhunjhunwala died, so he said one thing, I have earned a lot of things, I have earned money, I have earned respect. One thing I failed on is my taking care of my health. And now I can actually relate it with what you said right now.
Yes, absolutely.
So moving on, as you are a Manipuri dancer, so can you discuss the Manipuri dance form and how it may have impacted your career? So does it inspire you and what you have learned from this dance culture?
Well, as I said, that I exist because of my dance. I mean, I thrive because of my performance career. That's a part and parcel of my existence. And no matter what I do, I have to move. I have to move my body. I have to dance. Now, Manipuri dance, it comes from the northeast state of Manipur, is of course and it is a dance form which, unlike the other classical dance forms, it is even today very much oriented towards the temple. And it is now, of course, it has evolved a lot, but traditionally and even now that exists. So it is very much a dance form which is about submissiveness, submission, to the Almighty. It is more about that devotion, that patience, and that I am giving everything for you, that kind of a feeling. you know and I think that has really helped me in my career, in my in whatever I do. The fact that one has to be really humble, because you cannot think that you are something extraordinary. One is never extraordinary. I feel extraordinary is that extraordinary power. Extraordinary is Mother Nature. We are only actors, as Shakespeare had said. But we are only actors. We are simply acting for a couple of years and then we will disappear from this stage. So we are only that. So one has to be really humble. And this is, let's say, if you're arguing in the moot court competition, you have to be humble when you're addressing your opponent, when you're answering to the judges. Now in this courtroom scenario also, you would be held for contempt if you do not do that. In the classroom, if you're teaching and if you're not humble, then your students will not accept you. So this the fact that you have to be humble. Your humility is your identity, is something that I learned from my classical dance training from Manipuri. And the fact that I have to be focused, the fact that I have to strategize, I have to know how to balance. All of these, I think, is comes from my classical dance and my performing arts training. And also the fact that I'm so expressive, I talk this way, I try to involve people. I think that definitely comes from my performing arts skills.
This is really inspiring. I'm overwhelmed right now. Thank you for sharing this at least too. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So coming to my last question, as you have already told us like what needs to be done for excel in academic careers, but any final piece of advice for all the law students, apart from to take care of your health, to do the hard work, anything else you would like to
Yes.
suggest?
So what I would say is that law is no longer a subject which is just united. It has become interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. So my suggestion to the students would be that try and know and try and master yourself in not just one field of law. Number one, not just in the field of law. Let's say any other social science subjects or science subjects, technology, or anything else, even sports, even fashion, technology, anything. So that you can possibly build that bridge. It is not unitary anymore. Law is multidisciplinary, it is interdisciplinary. And we are slowly in India also coming to terms with that. So students, my suggestion to you would be to not just know about the traditional subjects, which you have to know as a law student to get a degree and to know and to say that you're a lawyer, but know the other fields of law, know the other different disciplines, appreciate them, take them into you and explore that. That is very, very important. If you can do that, then you will be able to go a long way. You will be able to contribute and you will be in demand.
Thank you so much. So here we have come to end of our session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing so many things to our viewers. I hope all the insights which you have given today to us would be fruitful to all the future lawyers who want to enter into academics, who want to excel into academics, and all of the life lessons also. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really hope that this was helpful and
Yes,
your objective
obviously.
of reaching out to the law students, young aspirants, would be fulfilled. Thank you so much for having me. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.